So this first image is just to really show you guys a little bit of my life with sharks. Sometimes I'm catching and tagging them, sometimes I'm filming and photographing them, or teaching students through my program called Sharks for Kids. So today I'm going to talk really a lot about the science. Again, what it means to kind of study sharks. There's a lot of different research that happens all over the world, a lot of people studying different species with different methods. So I'm just going to share with you some of the work that I've actually been able to do. Right now, I'm usually happiest when I am with sharks. So where I live in the Bahamas is the shark diving capital of the world. That's what it's called. So we're really lucky because we do spend a lot of time with these amazing animals, all different species like the hammerheads you saw, bull sharks, tiger sharks. In this image, we have southern stingrays, a black-nosed shark, and a nurse shark. So just a few of the incredible animals that I get to spend a lot of time with. Now, if we go out to catch sharks, it's because there's certain questions that we have that we want to answer, right? And different projects have different questions. Things like, where do sharks go? What habitats do they use? What food are they eating? And so in order to learn a little bit more about them, we oftentimes do go out and catch them. So there's different techniques. Sometimes we use long lines, which is a single line with a lot of different hooks on it. Sometimes we use one line connected to a buoy with a hook on it. If you guys have been fishing before, sometimes it's similar to that. We use rod and reel, but all of the equipment is designed specifically for targeting sharks and doing it in a way to kind of make it as easy as possible on the animal, because you really can't explain to them what you're doing or what's happening. So we've kind of, over the years, things have been developed to minimize the stress or the impact on the animal so we can collect the information, the data, let them go, and do this as quickly as possible. So here we have a shark next to the boat, and as a team, you work together to collect this data as quickly as possible. So on the right here, we have a black tip that we've brought next to the boat, or if the shark's small enough, we can actually bring it into the boat, like the little lemon shark you see on the left. Then we start the process called a workup. And you can think of this as like when you go to the doctor and get a checkup or a physical, right? Think about the things. The doctor sees how tall you are, how much you weigh. So the first thing you can see here is we're taking a length measurement of this bull shark. Right? So the total length from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail. We'll also measure from the tip of the nose to where the tail starts. And the tail fin is called the caudal fin. So that measurement from the tip of the nose to the start of the tail is called the precaudal length. And then on most sharks, there's a split, a fork in the tail. So we'll measure from the tip of the nose to the fork in the tail. Now, not every shark has that split. So it really depends on the type of shark, whether we take 2 to 3 measurements. The length measurement can help us estimate the weight of the shark, and we can also do some really great math and approximate the age of the shark. Because if we know they're a certain size when they're born, they grow a specific amount each year, right? We can look at that and estimate approximately how old this particular shark is. So few measurements and we can actually learn a lot about the animal. The next thing we're going to do is take a small tissue sample. So we actually take scissors and we cut a small piece of skin from the shark's dorsal fin. It's like clipping your fingernails. And it's sent off to a couple different labs. And what they can tell us is, one, the shark's DNA, what it's made of. A second thing is stable isotope, which means there's certain things, compounds that exist throughout the ecosystem, throughout the food chain. So as animals eat it, it's staying in their system. And if we look at that, we can actually figure out what the shark's been eating, right? Essentially, if you've heard that saying, you are what you eat, this applies to sharks as well. So this gives us insight into where in this food chain does the shark fit? They're not always on the top of the food chain. So what role or job does this species of shark have in this particular food chain, in this ecosystem? And one of the things that's been done here in Bimini, at the Bimini Biological Field Station, the Shark Lab, is they've actually been able to do a shark family tree to figure out brothers, sisters, mom, dad in the area over 25 years of research, which is really interesting to see, how many pups or baby sharks are these females having? Are they staying in the area? Are they coming back? Again, a lot we can learn just from a few little bits of data we collect from these animals. The next thing is a tag. So if you think about it, it's sort of like a name tag for the shark. Or if you go to the grocery store and your item beeps and there's that barcode, right? It's really kind of like giving the shark a name tag or a barcode. So we're leaned over the side of the boat, working up the animal, and there's different types of tags we use, again, depending on the questions we're asking. So one of the tags that we use that you might have seen before is a pit tag. And this is the same thing that if your cat or dog is microchipped, in case it gets lost, that would be put between the dog or cat's shoulder blades. We actually put it just under the dorsal fin of the shark. A syringe, just like getting a shot at the doctor's office, is put under the skin. And if you see that reader, it waves over the shark and the number comes up. So when we have the shark, we scan it with the reader. If there's no number that comes up, we're going to put the tag in. But if there is one, then we can say, wow, when did we last catch this shark? Has it grown since then? Is it in a new area? So this is really like a barcode for the shark that lasts about 15 to 20 years, which in some cases is the total lifespan of the shark. So over the years, we can actually collect a lot of information about a single animal. Other tags go on the outside. So these roto tags are used on the dorsal fin. And they're the exact same thing that people put on the ears of cows or pigs. They're a cattle tag, and it's like an ear piercing. But this allows us to give an external ID. So we have to see the shark again or catch it again to learn things like, has it migrated or is it bigger? But it's really an easy, simple way for us to have a record of these animals, because we can't remember all of them. We have to have a way to identify each of the sharks that are being caught. Now, other tags can actually go inside the shark. So a small incision is made once the shark is flipped over in tonic immobility. And believe it or not, the sleep-like state that sharks go into is a natural anesthetic. So the shark's not flinching, it's not moving. A small incision is made, the tag is slid into that cavity, and a couple of stitches, the shark flips over and it swims on its way. These animals heal incredibly quickly. And this is another way for us to kind of track their movements and also see these sharks are spending time with other sharks. So this is a little tiger shark next to the boat. This is the project I was just working on in St. Martin. And we were actually inserting the little tag into that. It slides in. You can see the tags right there. And this is an acoustic tag. It means it gives off a noise.
Now I can try and fix it.
Gives off, oops.
Actually, I don't have another break. I have 2 more hangouts to do back to back, but after that, I'll fix everything.
Hey, Joe.
Thanks.
Oops. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah, Jillian, I can still hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. So these acoustic tags give off a ringtone, essentially. Each tag has its own unique ringtone. And there are listening stations that are underwater that record that. The time, the temperature, the location, and the particular ringtone. So which animal is hanging out in the area. So this is, again, putting a stitch in a small little shark to seal that up. And we actually caught this shark 5 days later. It was healing really well. She's still giving us a lot of data points, which is really wonderful to see. And we're learning a lot about this little animal. Oops, let's see. I guess that's a fine. Now, the last tag I'm going to talk about is a much larger tag. This is a spot tag. And it's essentially like putting an iPhone on a shark. It's a mini computer in a waterproof case that is attached to the fin, and that antenna that sticks up sends off a signal. So if you guys have been in the car before and gotten directions, or on the phone, like a GPS, that's what this tag can do. So it can actually tell us where the animal is. You might have seen Guy Harvey or OSearch and be able to track the sharks, see where they are in their movements. It's put on species that do spend time at the surface, because that dorsal fin's got to come up out of the water in order to send that information up to a satellite. So things like great whites, makos, oceanic white tips, and tiger sharks are all species that these tags are used on. So this is just a little video clip of putting one of these on a tiger shark. So we have it next to the boat. You can see the shark's not thrashing around. It's there. It is secured with a line in the mouth and around the tail, because we don't want the animal to thrash around and hurt itself. We want to do this very quickly and release the shark. Right? Again, everything we do is designed to minimize the stress on the animal, because we can't explain to them what we're doing, but we want this data, right? And we want to do it as quickly as possible. So the team works together to attach this tag. So you can see there. And then we'll get a track like this. So we get email updates. Now this is from a different shark, but if you watch, the shark was tagged near Bermuda. And we play a big game of connect the dots. So every time you get an email update, it shows you a point, right? And that's the location of the shark. And then we can run kind of a computer program to go ahead and connect all of those dots and get a better idea of where these animals are moving. So this tells us where they're going, gives us an idea of habitats they're using, right? Look at that shark, it's out in the open ocean, right? So they're not seagrass beds, they're not coral reefs, it's pretty far out in the open ocean. So why? More questions we can ask to find a better idea of, what these animals are doing, how they're spending their time, why are they migrating? Right? And it's really interesting to see that year after year, these sharks will follow a very similar pattern, right? So it's like they have a road map or an ocean map, but they don't, right? They're following instincts, they're following possibly magnetic routes. We're looking at why are these animals doing this, right? But we could never follow the shark on the boat or swim after it. So these tags really give us a glimpse into the life of these sharks. Okay. I also spend a lot of time swimming with sharks, observing them, learning a little bit about their behavior. This is one of my favorite sharks. It's a great hammerhead that often comes here in Bimini. This year she hasn't returned yet, but we're hoping she will. And being in the water with sharks, you can learn about their behavior, recognize them, watch how they interact with other sharks. So it's another great tool. And this is scuba diving equipment, which is special equipment that allows me to breathe underwater. Got an air tank on my back and an underwater backpack that holds it, and the tube that comes around into my mouth is a regulator. So it allows me to stay down in the ocean for a lot longer than I could just holding my breath. And it's something anybody can learn how to do, no matter where you live, and it's a great way to study animals, but it's also a lot of fun. And when we go in, we take a lot of photos and videos as well. So this is a juvenile lemon shark in the mangroves. So a mangrove forest is a great place for young sharks because it provides food and shelter from larger animals. It's really kind of a nursery area where they're learning how to be a shark. Think of reading and writing in school, but they're learning how to find food and hide from predators. And you might not think of a shark in a forest, but here you see, and there's lots of little fish. This is an incredibly important habitat. And the habitats that sharks live in are also extremely important. So when we talk about saving sharks and helping them, it's really important to look at the habitats they're using as well. Okay, protecting those is a big part of being able to protect sharks. This is taking video of a great hammerhead. Sadly, they are an endangered species, so we're trying to share this information, learn more about them, so that hopefully they don't become extinct. And these are all photos. I was next to the shark, I took all of these, and it's just to show you that they're not biting the camera, they're not attacking. Sometimes people have that mentality of sharks. But again, we can see a bull shark in the top right, a tiger shark in the top middle, species that a lot of people are actually quite afraid of. But I was watching them, they were beautiful. It was amazing to be in the water with them and to learn about them, learn about their behaviors, things that they're doing, observing them. Again, this is a really, really important piece to better understanding sharks, which means it's easier for us to try and protect them. Sometimes they come right up and smile for the camera. This is a big, beautiful tiger shark. We also spend time filming the science. So this is the Bimini Shark Lab, inserting a tag. And by filming and telling the story, we can explain to people why we're doing this, what's happening, why it's important. Because the science helps us put better conservation laws into place, right? So if people understand that, the way they vote, the food they eat, the things they buy, we can share this science with the world so people understand what's happening and why it's important. Instead of just saying we tag sharks, here we're showing it. Why are we doing this? Why is it important? What are the questions? And how does this help these animals? Again, another shark ready to be released. This is a deep sea shark. And we've also been doing some really fun projects where we put cameras on the sharks. So here you can see a fin cam slid down on the dorsal fin of the great hammerhead. And it's a lot of fun because it's kind of like being in a video game and you're the shark. It gives us another insight into what it's like to be these animals. Where do they go? How do they behave? What do they do? So you can see this great hammerhead scanning the bottom. You know, how is it spending its time? Its tags can stay on for a couple hours up to about 64 hours. So it's really, you know, where are they going after we might see them on a dive? Where are they going at, you know, at night? There's infrared on these cameras, so we can actually have night vision to see and learn again, what do these animals need? Where are they going? All of this information is helping us to better understand sharks. And we're doing that a lot because of this number. So 100 million sharks are killed every single year for their fins, their meat, different parts of the body, including the oil from the liver used to make pills, makeups, lotions. They're killed for sport. They're caught as bycatch, meaning people are fishing for one thing and they catch sharks instead. And unfortunately, this number is causing their populations to decrease. It's much faster than they can keep up with. Sharks grow very slowly. They have to be a lot older to be able to reproduce, and they don't have a lot of babies. They don't have a lot of offspring. So because of these life history traits, it makes them extremely vulnerable to overfishing, and that's what's happening. And sharks keep our oceans healthy, balanced, and clean. So if this population is going down, it's an issue for the oceans, which means it's an issue for us. Because no matter where we live, some of the oxygen we get, the air, the food we eat, the water we drink, all of these things, we're connected to the water every single day, right? So you might be afraid of sharks or not think they're very important, but they actually are. They're really incredible animals and they're extremely important. So studying them, taking photos and videos of them is really powerful tools that we have to hopefully, again, learn more to be able to put better protections in place so that this number doesn't get bigger and bigger. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I know you guys hopefully have some questions. So let's see, screen share. Did it stop sharing the screen? Nope, didn't.
There we go. You're back.
There we go. All right, cool.
All right.
So, all right.
Great. Jillian, thanks so much for sharing that with us. That was great.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. Awesome. So let's meet some of our classrooms. We have a great group of classrooms joining us from across North America. So first, let's meet, there we go, Mrs. Penfold's group's joining us in Orangeville, Ontario. Let me turn your microphone on. That's in Canada. And go ahead and ask a question.
Why do hammerhead sharks scan the bottom of the ocean?
Well, a lot of the things that they eat, like one of their favorite snacks, are stingrays. And stingrays are on the bottom. And they'll oftentimes bury themselves in the sand to hide out. But the hammerhead has all these ampullae of Lorenzini, these sensory cells that can detect heartbeats. So even if the stingray is down there hiding out, and say the shark can't see it, it can still feel its heartbeat. So they're using their sensory systems to find the food that's on the bottom, because that's where they get, those are the things that they eat. Their prey items are on the bottom. Great question.
All right, so let's meet our next group. They're joining us from Mississauga, also in Ontario in Canada. They're a grade 1 through 3 group. Let me turn your microphone on. There we go, Mrs. Hinnigan.
Do sharks use sonar to feel the stingrays or something like that?
It's not sonar like dolphins use. What they're using is those electroreceptors. So every living thing is giving off a pulse, like our heartbeat right now. So the sharks can detect that using all those super strong sensory cells that are spread out. If you kind of see a shark, it looks like they have little dots on their face, little freckles, and they're filled with a gel-like substance that creates this film that can feel that over the sense, and it's linked directly to their brain to process it. So it's not like sonar, but it is their way of kind of absorbing that and perceiving that pulse that's coming off from living animals to be able to say, okay, there's a heartbeat, there's something there, I'm gonna go check it out because it might be a possible meal. Great question.
All right, awesome question. Our next group's joining us in Torbay, Newfoundland, which is on the east coast of Canada. They're a grade 3 group with Mrs. Manor. Let me turn your microphone on. Okay, go ahead. Oh, Mrs. Manor, I might just need you to do it. It's on my side, but it might be off on your side.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're good now.
Yep.
Okay, here you go. How do you swim?
How do you swim with sharks without being scared?
Well, the first time I was swimming with sharks, I was nervous because I'd never done it before. It was like a first day of school or trying a new sport. You don't know what it's going to be like. But then I got in the water and I realized, you know, they were eating some of the chunks of dead fish that was kind of like a treat for them. They weren't interested in me. All right, I don't look like food. I'm down in the water with them. Hopefully I don't smell like food. And so shark bites happen. Unfortunately, sometimes when mistakes happen, we look like a seal or a turtle or a fish when we're up on the surface, but it's a very rare thing, and sharks are actually quite intelligent. So as long as we're respectful, we're not grabbing them or trying to ride them, we can have a safe interaction. So I'm not scared of them. I do respect that they're wild animals. So I want to protect them. I want to keep myself safe, so I give them their space. But you don't have to be scared. I get really excited. I love being in the water with sharks. It's my favorite thing to do. Great question.
All right. Thank you very much. We have Mrs. Ritchie's class. They are a grade 2 group. They're joining us from Elkhart in the United States. Let me turn your mic on. There we go.
Sweet. Hi.
What's your question?
What shark are you most excited about and why?
The great hammerhead is my favorite animal on the planet. It's really amazing to dive with them. Where I live is a special place because they migrate through. They travel here in the winter months, so we're able to be in the water with them. It's really shallow. It's clear, beautiful water. They have those eyes on the side of their head and a really big dorsal fin. So seeing them in the water and watching them move is really incredible. And I want to share their story. I want to try and help them because they are an endangered species. So I want them to continue to be around. They're an amazing animal. So if I can do my little part by, you know, studying and sharing their story, hopefully it'll spread and people just like you guys will want to keep helping them, and we will be able to save these incredible animals. Great question.
All right. And our final group joining us today is in Monterrey, Mexico, a grade 5 class with Mrs. Morneau. Let me turn your microphone on and go ahead.
Okay, go to the front.
How long do sharks live?
How long do they live?
Yes.
It depends on the type of shark. So there's over 500 different species or different types of shark. And so a lot of the species we have here, anywhere from 20 to 40 years, but something like a great white, it's 50 to 70 years. And the Greenland shark, which lives in very cold, deep water, they can live at least 272 years, at least, making them the longest living vertebrate animal alive today. So sharks have some pretty awesome adaptations, including living a really long time.
All right. Well, Jillian, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us from Bimini. I know from experience, it's an absolutely beautiful place and it's full of sharks, so what could be better?
All right, thanks so much for having me, and thank you guys for joining and wanting to learn a little bit about sharks today. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.